Over the last 12 months we've been working very hard to identify where those savings will come from, but also to try and minimise the damage to the public of Barnsley. Having said that, there will be damage to services for the public of Barnsley because of the scale and speed of the cuts that the government have imposed upon us. We've been able to reduce the actual reductions in services and jobs by some £6 million. Not only does that save some frontline services, it protects around 200 jobs within the council as well. So things could have been worse than they are had it not been for those changes. That still leaves around another £6 million worth of direct frontline service cuts that can't be avoided. And they are in areas such as we lose 3 libraries at Grimethorpe, Kendry and Priory Campus at Lundwood. We lose 2 leisure centres potentially because they're currently being consulted on by Barnsley Premier Leisure, but we don't have the money to fund those anymore at Athersley and Penistone. Swimming baths at Wunwell are also earmarked for closure. On top of those quite visible reductions in service, we are reducing children's services, so support for schools and support for young people will be reduced in a number of ways, hopefully not too damaging at this stage, but nonetheless there'll be less support for schools as we move forward. In adult social care, there'll be a significant increase in the cost of services that people pay for. We are looking at reductions in areas like community wardens, safer neighbourhood teams, so clearly people were worried about security within the borough. So it is been the biggest set of public expenditure cuts the council's ever seen, and certainly the hardest. However, this is only the beginning of it. On the next 3 years there are more cuts to come, and next year we have to find a further £9 million, and that will be straight into frontline services to be reduced, and then it goes on year after year after year. So it's very hard decisions and a very hard challenge for the council to meet those particular demands. We have managed to prevent any reductions in highways maintenance because that's a priority. Given the roads and the winters we've had, we want to still make sure the investment goes back in there. In terms of keeping the borough clean and tidy and well maintained, again we are maintaining services around grounds maintenance and cleansing, so they will stay unaffected so far. We've been able to make sure the school crossing patrols are maintained for another year, but I do emphasise another year because we'll be back again next year with having to look at further cuts in savings as well. The free car parking for the town centre on a weekend is being maintained. Within the budget, the council tax next year will be a 0 increase because we're taking advantage of the extra grant the government were offering. It would have been 2.5%, but the government are going to pay that 2.5% for us, so you'll get a 0 council tax rise next year. The discount for older people over 65 households is set to continue for another year, and my card, the bus fares element for young people, which has been incredibly successful and popular, that will continue for another year. But you'll notice I keep saying another year, and that's all we can do at this stage because it's year-on-year cuts now, and things we didn't previously want to look at we're going to have to look at. But so there are some pieces of good news in there for some elements of the community, and clearly we want to try and maintain those as long as we can. But as the cuts start to bite deeper and deeper, retaining some of those things will get harder and harder.